Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a review on the surprisingly big Resistance Y-Wing Fighter. This came out in 2019. It's going to be set 75249. And let's jump into the minifigs first and foremost. So this set is going to come with 5 minifigures, 2 droids, 3 actual figures. We're going to have K3R1 on this side and then DO on this side. DO I think is really cool, just a little one stud tiny droid. Love having him in the collection. It's going to be fun to throw him into the cockpits and other small areas you can't normally fit the droid characters in. And then the actual minifig characters we get for this set, we are going to be getting Zori Bliss, the captain and pilot of the Y-Wing, and then a First Order Snowtrooper with a cape. Very unique head mold on him, and a pretty cool figure to have with all the printing. And then we get a Poe Dameron with his side satchel bag and silver blaster. Overall, pretty happy with this lineup of figures here, and overall pretty happy with the design of all of them. Set's retired now. I was able to get it used for around $40, and so to get 5 figures or 3 figures and 2 droids along with this pretty large build at that price point, I think is a very good value, especially considering none of these are standard characters, so to speak, aside from maybe Poe, who came in a couple other ones. Otherwise, Zori Bliss only ever came in her microfighter as well as this. First Order Snowtroopers are not as common as normal ones, and then the astromechs are relatively unique to this set as well. So now let's take a look at the build. Alright, so the build itself I was very pleased with. I don't think I quite processed when I first got it just how big Y-Wings were. This is actually, if my memory serves me right, my first Y-Wing I will ever have aside from any microfighter. So pretty cool to see how large and grandiose these things get considering they're big vehicles in the universe. For scale, in case anyone doesn't quite process it as much as I do, this is the speeder from the Bark Speeder Escape with Keller and Beck. And the entire speeder, and it's a pretty big speeder build, is about the size of just the cockpit piece up here. So this thing is, I would say, 2.5, maybe almost 3 speeder bikes long. Pretty substantial build. As I was building it, I was running out of table space trying to put all the pieces together. Things I'm very, very happy with this build about is it's got a lot of really good greebling along the top. I think it does a really good amount of detail considering that, you know, it's obviously not a UCS level playset or a UCS level set, but it does include a really good amount of greebling as well as play features. I think including this little turret here, which though it's fragile, is able to pivot and adjust and move, is a good feature to have. It's got an old school cockpit piece here on these ratcheting tabs, not quite up to par with what we normally see on sets, but inside it does have a printed piece for the cockpit controls as well as room for the minifig. I do wish they would tile some of the rest of this off, but I need to keep remembering that I need to make videos like this before I begin customizing these ships. So plenty of room to customize in there, which I will be taking advantage of. And the cockpit, being one of the older pieces and how tall it is, gives you plenty of wiggle room. I think there's really good shaping on here. These front cannons look really great. And then it also includes landing gear. Nice minimal landing gear that folds up and out of the way. Tucks in really great, just 2 pieces. Something I think should be standard in all sets. And this set nailed that and half nailed the cockpit. So overall, great score for what I'm looking for in those aspects. Comes with a spot to fit a full-size astromech in there, which is cool. I wish the astromech bodies themselves from Lego allowed the mini figure head on it to swivel, and it doesn't, but I do appreciate being able to store the entire astromech in here instead of having to take the head on and off. The big engine containment units back here look great. I was really nervous they were going to be fragile, and they're not that fragile. Like you can wiggle them around. They're pretty solid Technic connection pieces. Surprisingly, the loosest connection spot for all of these is actually how it clips into the engine itself, and that's just because it simply uses, I don't even know the best way to show it. It just uses like those droid arm pieces to clip onto the rounded edge of these. So it's just 2 little clip points I know we all can sympathize with how easy stuff falls out of minifigure hands sometimes. So that's the fragility we're looking at up here, but there is 2 connection points, so holds it in decent enough. The other aspect that's very fun is it does include a bomb dropping play feature. So you load these little missiles in up here, comes with 3 of these guys, and it load them in, and then what you're going to do is you twist this and it's actually able to store the bombs in here. And then all it is sort of a rotating barrel cylinder in here when you twist this knob, and they drop out the bottom right here. You can already see the red peeking out. So then, let's see if the camera is quick enough to capture it. There we go. So you can actually drop all the bombs out of this thing when you fly it over, as well as including some stud shooters under either of the wings right there. So a few different play features for deploying the weapons, which I think is very cool. I think it's a great value for the price you can get right now. Like I said, I snagged it for around $40, maybe $45. 5 figures, 3 figures and 2 droids, plus a substantial build with some good play features and some really good aesthetically pleasing greeblings on it. I think is a fantastic value. The only finicky parts I think are some big sticker pieces, right? All of this red up here, aside from this slant piece, but these 3 red pieces mirrored on either side are stickers, as well as this is one big sticker that wraps around the top here of that curved piece. And those can just be hard to apply evenly and correctly and have it look good. So something to keep in mind. I do think if you're not going to use these play features, there's a lot of possibilities here for customizing this thing to be yourself, which is something I love doing and I'm definitely going to do. So taking out some of this bomb dropping features in this and trying to build in like living quarters or extra places to do whatever you want, or extra carrier holds, make it a troop transport or something. I think this has a lot of real estate and a relatively easy disassembly process to complement those ideas you could have. Otherwise, yeah, I think this build is overall really solid, big shelf presence, and is definitely making me rethink never getting a Y-Wing and wanting to get a few more. I know it's the Resistance Y-Wing, so it's part of the New Republic. I think the alternate paint job compared to the traditional yellow is a cool contrast to have on a shelf. It's one of the reasons I really like the Resistance A-Wing as well, is the green really pops compared to all the other standard colors that we normally get. So just cool to have a really good variant, relatively stable. We'll do a little shake test. But yeah, Resistance Y-Wing, great value for the money you can pay for it now in the secondary market. Really good fig lineup and tons of customizable options here. So highly recommend it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you got it or passed on it. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.